So as gardeners, we have a huge choice of different kinds of mulches to use in our garden, and sometimes it can be overwhelming to try to figure out what is the best thing to use in your landscape. So I want to talk about a few different options that we have today. A mulch is basically a ground cover or material that covers the soil. It can do a number of different things. It can help regulate the soil temperature, keep the roots of the plants cooler in the summer, and keep them maybe a little bit insulated and warmer in the wintertime. It also can help with soil erosion, inhibiting weed seeds, that sort of thing. They do a lot of things. Also, you can use them just to promote a certain kind of aesthetic in your garden. For example, if you have a succulent garden, you might want to use a pea gravel or something. So I have several categories that I've broken them down into, and I think of mineral mulches as one. Then we also have organic mulches, which is a plant-based mulch that you can use. And then finally we have living mulches, which I would consider using just plants as an actual mulch. So I have some samples here that we can look at. One of the most basic ones is just plain compost. And you want to make sure that you have a good, well-composted compost that you're going to use on top of your garden beds. If it's not composted well enough, then you can have certain problems with nutrients, and it's really best if you have it already well composted. It's really good if you're trying to enrich your soils over time. You have to apply it more frequently than you might other mulches. Another one that's commonly used is the shredded mulch, and this is just out of the chipper. It's fairly coarse. You can get them in different varieties, different textures, but a shredded mulch is good. It has kind of a weave that you, as those fibers weave together, and it creates a mat. And that has some advantages and disadvantages. It's really good for keeping weeds down, but it also can make a mat that makes it hard for the water to penetrate through. So it might be ideal if you have it on top of like a drip irrigation system or soaker hoses. One of my favorites is the pecan shell mulch. It's a local material. One of my favorite things is when you get a nice pile of it, you can get squirrels digging through it. Like, I know there's a nut in here somewhere, and it drives them crazy. But in the garden, it's really great too, because these pieces are concave, and so they kind of lock together so they don't migrate around in your bed so much. They have a nice dark color. It's a really nice organic mulch. Now, the other category that I mentioned is mineral mulches, and mineral mulches are really good if you have plants like a lot of our Central Texas native plants that really like it dry. The mineral mulches keep the humidity level lower. It helps wick away moisture from the bases of the plants. And so some examples that I have here is just like a limestone sand, which is a little bit coarser than road base, but it kind of is essentially the same thing. It has a light color. It can be very reflective, so that might be a little bright. The decomposed granite is another one that's very commonly used, and that's a really good option that's not quite as bright as the limestone. Pea gravel, you can get it also in different sizes. This is an excellent mulch. And then finally we have the crushed glass, and this is actually a recycled product from the city of Austin. The other category that I mentioned are plants, and you can use any kind of plant that has a nice mat to it. Plants that will sucker or have roots at the nodes are really good for helping with erosion control, but they do the same thing. They keep the soil temperature regulated, they look nice, they can help with temperature fluctuations, and a lot of the same things that these other mulches have. So for Backyard Basics, this is Andrea DeLong-Amaya.